Hey everyone, welcome back. We're tackling something pretty big today. Um, like fundamental even. Your relationship with money. Ever think about that?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Well, we're diving deep into a book called Wealth is a Mindset by Shang Saavedra, and it goes way beyond, like your typical budget stuff. It's all about how our childhood, even neuroscience, shapes those money habits we all have. So if you've ever wondered, why do I do that with money? Hmm, this deep dive is for you.
It really is amazing how we think personal finance can be like one size fits all, when actually it's so personal. You know,
Yeah, totally.
your feelings about money, they're valid. And get this, understanding them is like the first step to really changing things for good.
Saavedra's own story is a perfect example. I mean, she was raised by Chinese immigrants,
Yeah.
super frugal, huge emphasis on education. So naturally, she climbs the corporate ladder, works in consulting, then tech. You'd think, boom, financial success, right?
You'd think so, right? But there's a twist.
Yeah, there is.
She hits those classic markers of success, but realizes something. Real freedom. The kind where you can put family first, grow as a person. That comes from financial independence, not just a fancy job title.
And this story in the book just cracked me up. She's furnishing her first apartment, fresh out of business school, young professional, and she buys a US ease bed for 50 bucks on Craigslist. Did you ever pull anything like that when you were starting out?
$50 bed, no. But I get it, that scrappy, gotta make it work mindset. Oh yeah, I've been there.
It's like build wealth from the ground up, right?
Exactly. And that's Saavedra's point. It's not just the tactics, it's the beliefs, the habits we build around money. That's the foundation.
Okay, let's break this down. So Saavedra talks about three root causes of money problems. And these aren't like diagnoses, but patterns she sees in her clients, even herself. What makes these root causes so insightful?
They help us understand the why we do what we do with money, which is huge E for changing things long term. The first one is the feast and famine root cause. A lot of people who grew up with unstable finances, they get this. It's abundance, then scarcity, back and forth. Leads to impulsive spending, got to get it N now W, instead of planning ahead.
So it's deeper than just like not knowing enough about money.
Oh, way deeper. It's emotional.
Makes sense.
Think of Maria, one of Saavedra's clients. She felt so much pressure to spend lavishly on her family because of their culture. This feast-famine thing, it made it so hard to get out of debt and be financially stable.
It's like that keeping up with the Joneses thing, right?
Exactly.
Even if you didn't have that feast or famine background, that pressure to show off can lead to those same bad spending habits.
Oh, absolutely. Recognizing those pressures, how they're affecting your choices, even if they don't match your own goals, that's key.
For sure. Okay, root cause number 2, adverse events. This one gets into the psychological scars from tough times. Could be childhood trauma, a bad relationship, even just a period where money was super tight.
And people who connect with this root cause, they often use spending to cope. It's that temporary comfort validation you get from buying stuff.
Saavedra talks about Danielle, who used spending to try and fill a void from her childhood. I bet a lot of people can relate to that shopping as escape thing.
It's important to see that emotional tie to spending. For Danielle, buying luxury stuff gave her a little confidence boost, made her feel better about herself for a bit, but really it just kept her stuck, feeling empty and stressed about money.
So not about judging those habits, but understanding them.
Exactly. What need is that behavior trying to meet? That's the question.
And root cause number 3, scarce immigrant. The name is specific, but a lot of people feel that financial insecurity, even if they're not immigrants.
Yeah, it often comes from parents who went through a lot of hardships, so they don't trust the financial system,
Makes sense.
like banks, the stock market.
Saavedra uses the example of David, whose parents basically taught him not to trust the stock market because of what they went through. Made it so hard for him to even think about investing, even though it was the smart move long term.
Right, it's like hold on to your cash, that's the safest, but then inflation eats away at it, so it's about finding that sweet spot, being cautious, but also letting your money grow.
For sure. Now, as you're listening to these root causes, does one stand out to you more than the others?
That's the powerful thing about this framework. When you figure out which one speaks to you, that's when you can really start to understand and maybe even change your own money habits.
It's like shining a light on those patterns in your head that you don't even realize are running the show, right?
Right.
Now, on top of these root causes, Saavedra introduces the spending cycle. This is where we see how feelings, experiences, and money choices all get tangled up.
And it's usually happening without us realizing it. Driving those spending habits we can't seem to break. It's a 3-step cycle. Trigger, action, reward.
Okay, so some feeling or situation makes you want to spend. Then you do the spending, the action.
And that action gives you a little reward. Could be pleasure, comfort, distraction, but it's temporary.
The problem is the thing that triggered you is still there, right?
Right. Saavedra talks about her own Amazon shopping habit. She'd get stressed, buy something, and get that instant gratification from fast delivery.
But hold on, is all online shopping bad? I mean, what about people who just find it convenient?
Oh, for sure, not saying that. The point is awareness. For Saavedra, once she saw that cycle, she could deal with the stress, not just cover it up with buying more stuff.
So, figure out your own spending cycle. Have you ever had that aha moment where you realized what was making you spend?
Definitely. And that's what we want you to do too. Think of a time you bought something impulsively. What was the trigger? What felt good about it? Was it a lasting feeling though? Once you see the pattern, you can start making smarter choices.
You become a money detective.
Right. You're not trying to never spend money again. You're just trying to make sure it matches up with your goals and what you actually care about. It's about control, not being deprived.
Now, this might all sound overwhelming, all these root causes, spending cycles and stuff, but Saavedra's got a good framework for setting realistic goals. I'm curious about this 90% rule she mentions. How's that different from, like, SMART goals?
That's a good question. With a 90% rule, you're setting goals that are tough, but you can actually reach them, ones you think you have a 90% chance of actually doing. If the goal's too big, you can get discouraged and quit.
So it's like, push yourself, but be real about it.
Exactly. When the goal feels doable, you start to see wins, and that keeps you going. Saavedra compares it to when she was trying to get fit. Didn't happen overnight. It was all about slow and steady progress, small wins.
Like, apply that to money. Don't gotta overhaul your whole life. Just take little steps, build good habits, celebrate the wins along the way. Great way to wrap up part one, I think.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot, but remember, the real work starts when you see those patterns in yourself and take that first step toward change.
Back again for more of our Wealth is a Mindset deep dive. We've been talking about those root causes, that sneaky spending cycle, and now I want to get to Saavedra's solutions. But before the tactics, there's this one next step idea she has. It's like, focus on one doable goal, especially when you feel overwhelmed. But doesn't just focusing on being frugal limit you? What about making more money?
Good point. While the book's about spending wisely, Saavedra gets it. You got to increase income too. It's all about matching your actions to your goals. If you want to earn more, that's your one next step. Same principle, just flip to the other side of the coin.
So instead of doing all the things at once, you pick one you can commit to now. Could be simple, like setting up a budget, or ambitious, like going for a promotion at work.
Exactly. And those small wins, they add up. They build your confidence too. Like Saavedra talks about how she struggled to exercise regularly for years. Started, stopped, got discouraged because she didn't see results fast enough.
Oh, that all or nothing trap. Been there.
Who hasn't, right? But Saavedra realized it was her mindset holding her back. So she started setting tiny goals, like work out for just 15 minutes.
And those little wins start to snowball. It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles.
Begins with a single step, right? And she brings that to money. Don't freak out about a mountain of debt. Break it down. Pay off one credit card or up your retirement savings just a little bit.
Celebrate those wins along the way. Now, one thing that hit home for me was Saavedra on regret. It's that, oh, should have started sooner, or if only I hadn't done that feeling. We've all been there.
Regret's tough. It keeps you stuck in the past, stopping you from doing anything now. Saavedra says it's useless. Acknowledge it, learn from the screw-ups, then focus on what you can control right now.
Easier said than done, though. How do you really move on from big money regrets? Let's say you made a bad investment or missed out on a big opportunity. How do you start beating yourself up?
Forgiveness, man. Forgive yourself for those past mistakes. It's not ignoring them. It's saying, okay, I messed up, I learned, now I'm going to do better.
Turn that energy into action. And speaking of action, let's get to Saavedra's solutions for common money problems, starting with debt. She's got a whole approach for each of those root causes we talked about earlier.
For those with the feast and famine thing going on, it's about stability. Breaking that cycle of spending without thinking. You're in control of your money, not the other way around.
So first step.
Get organized. Figure out all your debts, interest rates, minimum payments, when they're due. Got to know where you stand before you can fix it.
Then there's the emergency fund. Seems weird to save when you're in debt, but...
Even a little bit saved up can keep you from going deeper in debt when life throws a curveball. Gives you breathing room.
Okay, emergency funds there. What next?
Now, you hit those high-interest debts first.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that can get out of control fast.
I've heard about the snowball and avalanche methods. Does Saavedra like one over the other?
She doesn't say really. What matters is finding what works for you. Some people like knocking out the smallest debts first to build momentum. Others want to tackle those high-interest ones to pay less overall.
And don't forget tracking your spending. This is where knowing your spending cycle comes in handy, right?
For sure. When you track what you spend, you see where you're maybe going overboard.
Right.
Then you can make adjustments and free up cash to throw at that debt.
She's got some great tips for saving money, too, like cooking more, negotiating bills, even finding free stuff to do instead of spending a bunch.
It's not about being miserable. It's about spending smarter. Now, for those dealing with the adverse event's root cause, it's all about dealing with those emotional triggers that make you want to spend.
Because sometimes spending's a way to deal with stress, anxiety, even stuff from the past. But how do you tell the difference between a real need and a trigger-driven purchase? It can get confusing.
Definitely can. Saavedra says if those emotional spending patterns are really bad, therapy can help. You got to find healthy ways to cope and see money differently.
Not as a source of stress or guilt, but something that helps you build the life you want. Taking back control.
Exactly. And be kind to yourself. Beating yourself up about past mistakes won't do any good. Learn from them. Move on.
Now, for people with that scarce immigrant root cause, it's about learning to trust the financial system and getting over that fear of losing everything. That can stop people from doing things like investing.
Yep, education's key here. Learn about different financial stuff, investing, saving, even insurance. The more you know, the less scary it is.
It's like anything else, the unknown is always scarier.
Right. And Saavedra says, start small. You don't got to go all in on investing right away. Just a little bit, low risk, build up from there.
I love how she uses real stories in the book, like Maria, a single mom dealing with both the feast and famine and scarce immigrant root causes. She was stuck in that cycle of spending without thinking and terrified of losing everything. But with Saavedra's help, she turned it around.
She started by organizing her debts, setting up an emergency fund, then hitting those high-interest debts hard. But she also worked on those deeper feelings of fear and scarcity. Started learning about investing little by little. In a year, she'd made amazing progress, paid off a ton of debt, built up savings, and was even investing for her kids' education and her own retirement.
Proof that no matter how bad things seem, there's a way out. Another area Saavedra's got great advice for is dealing with toxic jobs. That can really mess with you, mentally and financially.
It's not just about putting up with a crappy job. It's about knowing the warning signs, setting boundaries, and taking care of yourself. You deserve to work somewhere that values you and treats you right.
So what are some of those warning signs to watch out for?
Micromanagement, no support, crazy expectations, even abuse. Saavedra's got tips for dealing with it, like documenting stuff, going to HR, maybe even talking to a lawyer.
Sometimes, though, gotta just get out. Know your worth.
Exactly. Saavedra gives advice on how to make career changes too, like networking, updating your resume, practicing for interviews. And she says job hopping can be good. Sometimes switching to a new company's the best way to make more money and move up.
Be in charge of your career. Don't be scared to make a change. Saavedra tells the story of Sammy, who went through years of abuse from her dad, then ended up in a bunch of stressful, toxic jobs.
Sammy had this belief that she didn't deserve to have her needs met, so she kept pushing herself until she burned out. It took a health scare to make her rethink things.
A wake-up call, right. Sometimes we need that to realize we deserve better.
Totally. And for Sammy, that wake-up call led her to start her own business. Used her marketing and sales skills. Now she's happier, more in control, and making way more money.
That's awesome. Taking a leap of faith can really pay off. And for those thinking about starting their own thing, Saavedra's got tips on finding your niche, building connections, and managing money as an entrepreneur.
But she's real about it. Entrepreneurship's hard. There'll be ups and downs. But with the right mindset, the right people supporting you, and the right resources, your chances of success go way up.
Now, for those who like their jobs but want to make more, Saavedra's got tips on negotiating salary and getting promoted, too.
It's about knowing your worth and asking for it confidently. Research what people in your field are making, practice how to negotiate, and make a strong case for why you deserve that raise.
It's not just about working hard, it's about being smart and speaking up for yourself.
And don't forget about building relationships with the people who make decisions at your company. Promotions don't just go to the hardest workers, they also go to the people who are visible and have good connections.
Play the game, but play it smart. Saavedra also suggests looking into other ways to make money, like side hustles, freelance work, even investing.
It's about finding things you're good at and enjoy, being good with your time, and setting realistic goals for how much you want to make.
But side hustles can be tricky too, right? You can burn out, neglect your main job, or even mess up your finances.
For sure, got to be careful. See both the good and the bad before you jump in.
Saavedra shares stories of people who've made side hustles work, like freelance writers, photographers, online business owners, real estate investors. It's inspiring.
They show you it's possible to create extra income, have more financial freedom, and even chase your passions.
When it comes to investing, Saavedra gets that a lot of people are scared, especially those with the scarce immigrant background. They've seen how bad things can get, so they play it safe.
She's great at breaking down investing in a way that's easy to understand, even if you're starting with just a little bit of money.
Where do you even start? It's such a big world.
Take the mystery out of it. Learn the basics. What are stocks, bonds, mutual funds? How does the stock market even work?
It's like learning a new language, right? Once you know the basics, it's not so scary.
Exactly. And then figure out your risk tolerance, how much up and down you can handle. Everyone's different. What's risky for one person might be fine for another.
So, how do you figure out your risk tolerance?
Think about your age, how long you have to invest, and your goals. If you're young and have time, maybe you take more risks hoping for bigger rewards. But if you're close to retirement, you want to play it safer, protect what you've got.
Got it. Once you know your risk tolerance, what's next?
Start small. You don't got to invest a ton of money all at once. Just a little, something low risk to get your feet wet. As you see those investments grow, you'll realize that taking smart risks can make you more financially secure.
It's about changing your mindset. Instead of being scared and avoiding it, get curious, explore. Saavedra talks about Mary, who is terrified of investing because of what she saw growing up.
She knew how fast things could go wrong, so she just held onto her cash, never took any risks.
But with Saavedra's help, she started learning about investing. Started small, gradually took on a little more risk as she got more comfortable.
Within a few years, she had built up a nice portfolio that was making her money passively and making her future more secure.
Shows you that you don't have to be an expert to start, you can learn and be successful. One of the best things about wealth as a mindset is how much Saavedra talks about boundaries, not just with social media, but with relationships, spending, even how you use your time and energy.
Boundaries give you space for the things that matter, the things that line up with your values and goals.
It's bigger than just saying no to stuff. It's about putting what's important to you first. What are some of the practical things she recommends?
For social media, unfollow accounts that make you feel bad or make you want to spend money you don't need to. Limit how much time you spend scrolling. Maybe set daily or weekly limits.
Take control of your phone. Be mindful of how it's affecting you. I've tried those digital detox things, and it's crazy how much clearer your head is when you're not constantly bombarded with stuff.
Totally. And with relationships, set boundaries with people who drain you, don't respect you, or stress you out about money. You might have to have some tough conversations, limit how much time you spend with them, or even walk away from toxic relationships.
Tough, but necessary sometimes. You gotta protect yourself, even if it means making hard choices. What about boundaries with money stuff and families? That can be a minefield.
Saavedra gives good advice on handling those tricky situations, like lending money to family, supporting them financially, or even just managing expectations around gifts.
Have those open, honest conversations, set clear expectations, and protect your own financial stability.
Exactly. And set boundaries with your spending, too. Make a budget that fits your values and your goals.
Make choices about where your money goes instead of just letting it disappear. But budgeting can be a drag. How do you make it less of a chore and more, I don't know, fun?
Saavedra says use budgeting apps or spreadsheets to track your money, set up automatic savings transfers, even reward yourself when you hit financial milestones. Find what works for you and make it a habit.
Shift your thinking from, ugh, got a budget, to I'm choosing to budget because it helps me reach my goals.
Right. And get your partner or family involved. It's easier when you're all on the same page.
Now, one thing I really liked about wealth as a mindset is how much Saavedra wants you to take control of your financial future. She goes through all the different financial accounts and stuff out there.
It's about giving you the knowledge to make smart decisions with your money instead of feeling lost and confused.
So, what are the basics, the must-haves for a solid financial foundation?
Start with the simple stuff. Checking account for everyday spending, savings account for emergencies, and a retirement account to take care of your future self.
Got it. And then there's all the other stuff, credit cards, loans, insurance, learn how they work and how to use them responsibly.
It's about having the knowledge and confidence to navigate the financial world and make choices that are right for you.
Saavedra also says to choose financial institutions that match your needs and values. Think about fees, customer service, online and mobile banking, even if the company is ethical.
Don't just go with the first one you see. Shop around, compare, find the best fit.
Now, one thing that really stuck with me is how much Saavedra talks about building a financial legacy that lasts beyond your own life.
It's about thinking about how your money choices will affect your family, your community, even future generations.
Leaving a positive mark on the world, making sure your money's used to make things better.
Exactly. She talks about estate planning, charitable giving, and having those open conversations about money with your loved ones.
No more secrets, just honest talk about money. She also says it's super important to teach kids about money from a young age.
The money habits we learn as kids stick with us.
It's not just about counting money, it's about teaching them to be responsible with it, to save, even to invest.
Exactly. Talk to your kids about money. Teach them about earning, saving, spending, even donating. Show them how it's done, be a good example, and make it a safe and positive learning experience.
Give them the tools to be confident with money and make smart choices.
Exactly. Another thing Saavedra talks about is the power of community. You don't got to go it alone with your finances.
There are tons of resources and communities out there to help you, encourage you, and make you feel like you belong.
Financial advisors, therapists, mentors, online forums, support groups. There's something for everyone. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. It's a sign of strength, not weakness.
And don't forget about giving back, too. Using your money to support causes you care about can make a real difference and make your financial journey more meaningful.
It's about realizing that true wealth isn't just about how much money you have, but how you use it to create a life that matters.
Absolutely. Now, in the last chapter, Saavedra shares her own journey to financial independence, the struggles, the lessons, and how much her life changed when she embraced a wealth mindset. I love how open and honest she is about her own life. Makes her advice feel so much more real and relatable.
She talks about growing up in a family that didn't have a lot, working her way up the corporate ladder, and then realizing that real freedom came from being in control of her money, being able to choose how she spent her time and energy.
There's no one right way to be successful with money. It's about finding what works for you and building a life that fits your values and how you define success.
Yeah, and she talks about quitting her corporate job to follow her passion for personal finance, starting a business to help others with their money.
That's brave. It shows you that sometimes you got to take a chance to achieve your dreams. But what about those times when you doubt yourself? We all have those. How did she deal with them?
She's real about it. Says getting to financial independence is hard. There are going to be setbacks, times when you're not sure, times when you doubt yourself.
Those are the moments that really test you.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure. But she says, stick with your goals, keep learning, and celebrate every win along the way.
Financial freedom's not a straight line. It's a journey. You grow, you learn to bounce back, you figure out who you are.
Exactly. And her story proves just how powerful it can be to embrace a wealth mindset. Not just for your bank account, but for your whole life.
Man, we've really been through it with wealth as a mindset, haven't we? From those deep down root causes and the sneaky spending cycle to practical ways to handle debt, those awful toxic jobs, even dipping our toes into investing.
It's amazing, isn't it? How much our mindset affects our money. But the best part, we've learned how to change that mindset to create a better future, one with more control, more abundance.
Saavedra's book is packed with insights. What really stuck with you?
For me, it's understanding your money story. All those experiences, those beliefs we pick up about money, like realizing your feelings about money are okay, they make sense. And once you get that, you can start making changes that actually last.
It's like those hidden rules in our heads that we don't even know are running the show, right?
Yeah,
Perfecting how we spend without us realizing it.
totally. And once you see those rules, you can challenge them, change them to something that empowers you.
You're in charge of your own story. You get to decide how it ends. Another thing that hit home for me was making a spending plan that actually matches your values and goals.
Being intentional with your money, making choices that make you feel good and get you where you want to go.
It's not about saying no to everything. It's about choosing where your money goes. It's about being in control.
For sure. And even little changes add up over time. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress.
Now, we talked about spending wisely, but Saavedra is big on investing in yourself, too. education, personal growth, taking care of your health, that kind of stuff.
When you invest in yourself, you can earn more, have more opportunities, and feel better about yourself,
Like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. Got to take care of yourself first.
right? And setting boundaries is huge too. With social media, relationships, how much you spend, how you use your time and energy.
Boundaries are all about protecting yourself, making space for what truly matters.
It's okay to say no. Put your own needs and goals first.
Build a life that feels right, not one where you're always stretched thin and exhausted. We've also talked about the power of community, how important that is.
Don't forget, you're not alone in this. There are so many resources and communities out there to help you, to cheer you on, to make you feel like you belong.
Financial advisors, therapists, mentors, online groups, you name it. Find what works for you.
And never be afraid to ask for help. That's a sign of strength, not weakness.
Saavedra also reminds us that being successful with money isn't just about the numbers in your bank account. It's about using that money to create a life with meaning, purpose, and a positive impact.
Make your money choices match your values. Use your resources to make a difference.
Giving to charity, supporting causes you care about, or just using your money to create opportunities for yourself and others. Money can be a force for good.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into wealth as a mindset, here's something to think about.
We've covered so much: the psychology of money, the power and mindset, boundaries, practical tips for managing debt, boosting your income, investing. But it all comes down to this. What's one tiny step you can take today to change your thinking and start a new chapter in your money story?
Could be something small. Notice one of your spending triggers. Set a tiny savings goal. Even just track your spending for a week.
Remember, little by little, those changes add up. They lead to better finances and a feeling of really being in control.
And Saavedra says it best. Growing your wealth is a journey, not a destination. It's not about being perfect. It's about moving forward.
Be patient with yourself, celebrate the small victories, and remember, you don't have to do this alone.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep writing your own money story. It's yours to create.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.